Hi YouTube, it's me, Doug Polhemus. Today I'd like to talk to you about Genesis chapter 4, classified as the first chapter in time. It's the story of Cain and Abel. It's the story of Lamech, his three sons. Well, Cain and Abel, everybody seems to be in tune with that, and there's lots of messages about Cain and Abel, but you don't really hear a lot about Lamech and his three sons. And there's some information there that I'm going to bring to light. And what I'm about ready to tell you, I've went out and kind of researched it, and you don't find a lot of information about what I'm going to tell you about. And basically, what happens is when Cain does what he does and he kills Abel, the Lord basically protects him. He says that if anybody does anything to Cain, then there would be vengeance 7 times or 7-fold on his behalf from the Lord. But when you get to Lamech gets to a place where he has these 3 sons. The sons of Lamech were Jabal, Jubal, and Tubal-Cain. It's a representation of man. It's a representation of the king, priest, and prophet. Jabal was tents and cattle. That was his domain. Of Jubal, he was the harp and organ. He was music. He was the priest. And Tubal-Cain was the artificer of brass and iron. And he was the man of war, and would classify him as the prophet because he could determine an outcome. So if you took Lamech, he says that if Cain be 7 times, then Lamech be 70 and 7 times. So if you took 7 plus 77, you get 84. If you took that by 30, which would be a pathetic month, you come up with 2,520. Now, the next one is 7 times 70, and I did this because he's saying that what he did was 70 times more important than Cain. Okay, so 7 times 70 is 490. You could directly link this to Daniel's 70 weeks a year. You can actually see it in the numbers that we're about ready to go through right now. Then there's an extra 7 left over. If you had 490 times 7, you come up with 3,430. You take the 2 numbers, total them up, it's 5,950. Or you could say maybe the 119th Jubilee cycle. And we'll just kind of go through this. And basically, I'm going to go through A, B, and C, just like I just did. And A, it talks about when scholars believe that Adam was left the garden, he came into time in 4004 BC. So if you took 4004, you subtracted the 2,520, you come up with 1484. It was during the time of Moses. It was when Moses was 50 years of age. But what we find out in this story, that if you went to Acts chapter 7, verses 23 to 36, it says that Moses, he was visiting his brethren, and he saw an Egyptian, and he was mistreating him. And what happened is Moses killed the Egyptian. And when he killed him, he thought that they knew that he was the deliverer. And the idea was that he fled from Egypt, and he went to Midian, and he was there for 40 years, and he comes back in 1454. Okay, and he delivers the children of Israel. So if you went to a place like Exodus chapter 12, I believe it's 40 and 41, it says that the sojourning children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt, they were there for 430 years. It was the self-same day. It was an anniversary date. Now the children of Israel, they leave Egypt, and what happens? They wander in the desert for 40 years. So 40 and 30 is 70. So there's a 70 example right there. The next one is 3,430, which is 7 times 70 equals 490 times 7. Okay, if we were to take that away from 4,004, you come up with 574, which points to Daniel at 50 years of age. Babylonian captivity was 606 to 536 BC for a total of 70 years. During that time frame, you have Daniel. He writes the famous Daniel 70 weeks a year in chapter 9, verses 24 to 27. Now, if we were to take those numbers, run them together, you get 5950. If you were to subtract that from 4004, what you find out, it's 1946 AD. It's in our time frame. And what happens on October the 16th, 1946, it's the Nuremberg trials, and what happens is that the last general is hung, and when they pulled the lever just before they did, he said, "It's Purim all over." So there it is. You got Israel. They're coming back into land 1, 2, 3 times. About 18 months later, what happens? Israel becomes a nation again. It's really a fascinating story once you stop and you look at it, because it's a blueprint of time. So, if you went to a place like Matthew 24, and this generation shall not pass till all these things come to pass. Jesus is telling us that when this fig tree generation comes about, that generation will see his return. See, that's the day that we live in. I'm really surprised that scholars over the years never put this together. I'm sure maybe somebody has, but I'm failing to find information about it. But anyway, what I'd like to do is I'd like to change up a little bit on my videos. This is the 4th one, and I want to give you a foundation so when you start reading through the Bible will make more sense to you. So that's what I got for today. I hope you pay attention to it. I hope you take a look. It's really quite interesting, because you see how it unfolded from the time that happened until all this came to be. Okay, YouTube, you have a blessed day.